Hi, this is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm going to take about 30 minutes of your life to deliver some amazing content from accomplished leaders, business owners, to provide you some great Ironman mindsets to help you scale your business, to become a better leader and push yourself out of a comfort zone into something that's going to stretch you. We hope you really enjoy these shows and encourage you to like and share with your friends, your network, family members. Try and get a wider audience and improve our industry. On each show, I'm going to try and pull out one type of Ironman mindset, insight that you could take back to your business. And if you're implementing one insight every single week or all the shows, then it's going to make a dramatic improvement to your business. Super excited as well to share that we're partnering up with Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. This is Robert Clickybeard with the Commercial Landscaper Podcast. I'm really excited to be joined by Brandt and Dillon. Brandt, good to see you today.
Good to see you, Robert. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. See, we both have the same barber.
That's right. Our wives.
Yes. So many people don't know Brandt. Tell everybody about Brandt. What your background, how you got into the landscape business, and maybe just give us 2 or 3 minutes on your background.
Yeah, sure. Just real quick. Back in 1998, I guess I was 24 years old then, and just wandering around kind of aimlessly with no direction. I always say that we don't end up on the stick edger because we're on a winning streak in life, right? So I was in a pretty rough spot, nowhere to turn, and had a guy ask me if I wanted to try landscaping, and he really needed somebody to run the crew. And so, he gave me a job as a low paying job as a crew member. And then, like a lot of people, crew member to foreman to area manager to, division manager, and then ultimately starting Texscape Services in May of 2010, and grew that over 13 years to about 24 million. And yeah, sold it. Wasn't really in the cards. I don't have a formal education. This is really all that I've done, and never even thought about that as a strategy, right? To build and sell. And it got real frothy out there. And so, yeah, I sold it, and I sold it to a platform company, a private equity backed platform company. And now I'm there with them. I'm going to try to help them grow their Texas footprint. My company was their first foray into the Texas market. So yeah, I'm excited about it. It's a new adventure. I'm learning a lot, and yeah, this is where I'm at.
That's awesome. Tell us a little bit about Texscape in terms of, what your footprint was, I suppose, roughly number of employees, commercial maintenance, residential. Just tell us.
Yeah, sure. So commercial, all commercial maintenance. The business model there was that we just sold base maintenance. Everything revolved around base maintenance, and we were very intentional. We weren't out looking for construction jobs. We weren't out looking for ancillary jobs. We just wanted to sell commercial maintenance. And I knew that, the ancillary came with the maintenance. So commercial maintenance, primarily multifamily was what I entered into first. It was where I had some relationships, and we grew the business to, we had about 400 multifamily communities here in Houston. I think at our peak, almost 300 employees, 2 branches. We've got 10 acres and 2 locations here in Houston. Expanded into the Austin, San Antonio market, and had a little bit of business there. We weren't really working that market too hard. And then after, 6 or 7 years, we really started focusing on changing our client mix. I mean, we're about 90% multifamily. And then over the last 5 years, we're split pretty evenly now between multifamily, commercial, and HOA. no residential. And, we really, one thing that this platform company has really taught me is how to focus on the ancillary and how to really drive ancillary, and how that, you can drive that ancillary through adding more indirect, no, more indirect costs, right? Can drive ancillary through indirects like area managers or project managers, which is something that, I wasn't doing, right? I was trying to keep those costs down. So yeah, now we've got a nice client mix. Ancillary is like a rocket ship. And we're just staying focused on those two things. I'm not dabbling in the ground up construction too much anymore.
Right.
Not chasing the low bid stuff. I just want the higher quality clients that are willing to invest and at minimum enhance their properties. Right. So
Yeah.
it's all been a process though. Robert, in the beginning, I would take anything for $1. I mean, we were pushing guys out in
Not
inflatable
unusual.
wrap
Not
and clean
unusual. Yeah.
pond. Yep. So this is something that's evolved. I wasn't always like this. I was scrappy in the beginning for
Right.
sure.
Well, I mean, yeah, there's different stages, and I can't name them off the top of my head, but there's different stages in business, and that initial startup phase is you're trying to grab as much revenue, and you don't really care what type of revenue it is, and then you sort of, I think the next stage is maybe growing up, which is you then start looking at your mix of clients, the what's profitable, what's not profitable, and then there's the next stage, and from there, but I mean, that's amazing growth from you to go to, from 2010, I think you said,
Right.
24 million in what,
13 years. Yeah.
15 years. I
13.
mean, that's amazing growth. So nice job with that.
Thank you.
What I mean, I always love to think about, Ironman mindset moments, or moments in your business where that has been pivotal to your acceleration. I know were part of one of our peer groups. You've probably got us like a software system along the way. You probably reviewed the type of management. Talk through that type of, I suppose, transition.
Yeah. Yeah, going out there and grabbing everything that we could. And really what the part of growing up, Robert, was that, we had at one point, we had a bunch of base maintenance, and our penetration wasn't really good. I had a number of business developers, and we were working our tails off. And when you start, when you're living out of the company, right? When you're an owner, and you're literally, eating the profits, and you look at a year, and you do 14, 15 million, and you really didn't make any money. You'll start kind of reflecting on, it's not a greed thing. It's more of a, hey, I'm not going to do $15 million worth of work here and make 200,000. I'm just not going to do it. Right.
Not
And
worth it.
so it really makes you dig in. And so, yeah, we created our own kind of CRM thing. We hired an IT guy in-house. I shared him with another company. When I first started, we shared back office, we shared space, just all those things. But when we got our CRM, we were really able to figure out, hone in on our crew budget hours, monitor the crew budgets, right? We were able to, much like Aspire, create some tasks where we weren't over servicing or under servicing our clients, and then had to get a little bit ruthless with, some price increases. And you have to get to the point where, the revenue is just vanity, Robert. It really is. And the one thing that I used to always say to people when I'd see them is like, how are you doing? Great. We're doing 6 million, and then the next year, great, we're doing 10 million. And I always tell people what the revenue was. As I grew up, I realized that, hey, it's about the EBITDA. And we have some customers that, we have to get rid of or get a price increase. So we made some hard decisions around that. And that's tough. These are people that I've had relationships with, and it's kind of taboo to fire customers. And it's the one thing when we're starting out that we fear the most is, losing a customer. I mean, everybody gets manic and thinks about losing customers. So some tough decisions there. right? And one thing I think that I did really well is everybody was commissioned, and everybody was commissioned on margins. And so I didn't have any of the internal conflict between sales and
Right.
operations and
Right.
finger pointing and things like that. If we made money, everybody got paid, and if we didn't make money, then nobody got paid on the job. And that really helped align the team, align their interests, to work together. So yeah, figuring out our right customer, figuring out what is a fair amount of profit for the amount of work. Of course, when you start growing, you got to think about it, capex investments and debt and just different things like that. So I know I'm rambling a little bit. There was a
No,
lot
good.
that
Good.
went
Good
into it.
point.
Yeah, but the catalyst was looking up one day, and I remember it was 18 million, Robert. We did 18 million, and I had about 6 business developers. I had 3 branch managers in two cities, 3 different locations. And I looked up that year, and I think we made about 400 or $500,000 on it, and I was done. That was it. I made a commitment to the next year that I was not going to do that again, and we started cutting some costs and focusing in on what mattered.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, and obviously that paid off. You touched on a phrase there. There's a great thought leader out there called Alan Milne, yeah, and he talks about cash is king, and his phrase is revenue is vanity, profit is sanity. And
Hey, that's
so,
right.
so
That's right.
true.
I had a partner tell me one time, we kept our books. We did our taxes on a cash basis, and he always told me, and we look at accrual, we'd be looking at our accrual, and then we'd flip over to the cash basis, and he would always tell me, he said, "Well, you can only eat cash. You can't eat accruals." And it just stuck with me. And so, when we sold our company, yeah, I think we had about $250,000 in debt. That was it. So it kind
Okay.
of stuck with us, and so yeah, good stuff. A lot of little
That's awesome.
phrases like that we hear.
Well, hey, it makes you become more focused once you start to realize, hey, that the gauntlet's down. I'm going to make more profit. It lets you just become focused, and that in turn helps your team become more focused. You're all aligned to the same outcome, and obviously that helped with your sale. So switching on, you sold in which year?
October of 22. So it's 18 months. Been 18 months now. Yep.
So yeah, I sold back in, let me think, 2016, transitioned out in 2018. Um, it's quite a transition, isn't it? Going from a
Oh,
owner to, an employee, and when you put your heart, your sweat and blood and tears into a business, to then sort of,
yeah, and it really, it kind of became, it was who I am, right?
mm,
It was who I became. It was from the time I woke up into the morning, it was on my mind. And from the time I went to sleep, I was just thinking about the business. And so before we decided to sell, the conversations that I was having with my family was more about, okay, well, what is what does the future look like, right? What are we gonna, how are we going to, secure our future? Um, what am I going to do next? What is the plan? What is the plan when I don't have what my whole life has been dedicated to anymore? So we kind of thought, we sort of got that figured out. But what I didn't prepare for was the emotional uh,
mm,
inner turmoil that we just as humans experience when we've built something, and we know everything about it, and we love everybody involved in it. It's all we've done. It's who we are. And just like that, you're a W-2 employee, and you don't have necessarily the power. You need something. You can't just go get it. The wheels of the corporate structure, they turn much slower. And so it's been tough. It's been tough to see people tinker with the business and do things that, I feel like maybe I've already tried, or I don't believe in, or that maybe it's not aligned with our culture. And so, yeah, there's been moments where I've come home, and I ask myself, what my buddies ask me, right? Why
yeah,
the hell are you doing this? But then there's moments where, I don't know the private equity side of the business. I want to learn the M&A. I want to understand valuations. I want to understand, that whole part of the business. And when I'm done here, I'll be a better person for it. And one thing that I just want to add, and I'll stop about the emotional stuff, is that, I have my 16-year-old, she goes, very emotional girl, like all of us were at 16. And the emotions, that's what makes us uniquely human, right? And I used to have these emotions at work. If our guy would quit, or we'd have an accident, or somebody would fire me, and I was just in all kinds of just emotional distress. And what I've discovered now is to just embrace that, right? That is what it will pass. Whatever you're feeling, it will pass. Just hang tight, embrace that emotion, because it's something that only humans have, and just understand that it's part of being a human in life, and you'll reflect back on it. And that's helped me sort of stay calm around things like that. So
Yeah, and I obviously experienced that when I had the business that, as things happen almost on a daily or weekly basis, whether it's an accident, whether it's employee quitting, and you go through those emotional roller coasters. But in some ways, you have to suppress it because you're leading the company. You have to
right.
show them the control. You have to show them you lead by example. And in some ways, you get, I suppose, numbed a little bit by doing that. But going to selling the business, yes, you can have discussions with your family or friends about the selling part, but the way I termed it is almost like that plug being pulled from like a life support machine, where it's just really tough to handle. And I think guys, I'm probably wrong saying this, but guys tend to, again, suppress that. They tend to hide that piece of some of their inner challenges, the
Mhm.
emotional challenges. And it's tough.
Yeah. Yeah, emotional intelligence. I spent some time with a business coach, and that's one thing that he and I were working on. That I was a little offended that somebody thought I was maybe emotionally unintelligent, but I am a little bit, right? I'm a little bit reactive. I want to immediately like solve the problem and address whatever is right in front of me right then, right? And this coach has really helped me learn to respond rather than react. I've noticed that sometimes something will happen, and I'll write a really long email, and I'll just save it in the draft, and then I go to sleep, and then I wake up the next morning, and I've decided that I'm not sending that email. you
Mm.
know so things like that. But yeah, you're in a new environment with new people, right? You're around a lot of alpha A players, and you want to. I think that sometimes people maybe try too hard to be more than they are, try to know more. It's intimidating, right, when you're around these people. But I'll just try to be comfortable in my own skin. I'm 50 years old at this point in my life. I pretty much am who I am. Um, you know, I know what I know, and there's some things I don't know, and I'm honest about that. And yeah, try to keep my emotions in check. But there have been a few confrontations. Sometimes you got to get into somebody to get them to act right. But
Yeah, oh, for sure. Yeah, whether it's getting on to somebody, or whether it's just dealing with whether the pressures you feel from other people, or whether it's as you say, when somebody is changing the way your company was, you don't necessarily agree with that. How do you handle that piece of it? Or you're being the go-to person for, you know, 15, 20 years, and it's something that's pulled away from you and it's going through different channels. Pretty tough to deal with. I also had a life coach when I sold my business. I think I had
Mhm.
for 12, 18 months or so. And it was definitely helpful with being able to sort of balance out my challenges. And then the other piece of that is now you've got a nice bank account full of money. How do I protect, how to invest that piece of it as
Mhm.
well? So
Sure.
there's pretty different challenges out there that people don't necessarily talk about.
Yeah. 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 when you own the business, right, the buck stops with you, and everything comes through you. And when you join, when you become part of a bigger team with the various functional departments, and it took a minute there for me because we were HR, right? We were our own fleet. We were our own finance department, and so when you join a larger team, and you have to have those functional departments. I've really learned to embrace them, but it's like a waterfall of people coming and talking to your people, and so you kind of get left out of the loop sometimes. Sometimes things are happening that maybe you used to know about that you don't. So that was a little bit frustrating in the beginning, but as 18 months have passed, I've learned to really embrace those functional parts because they're really a luxury. You have trouble with someone, and you need to exit them. Now it's just a phone call. Hey, I need you to, can you help me with this? Before it was something that, we would have to do, right? And do it ourselves. Or if you need people, right, you can call the talent uh, department, and they'll run
Right.
your ads for you. So that's been a little bit tough. Just getting used to the different functional departments and more fingers, more hands, kind of in the cookie jar.
Yeah.
But yeah, I embrace it now, and I use those people to my advantage, and it helps me stay focused on the stuff that matters. At heart, I'm an operations guy. I love operations. I love selling, and I love operations. And so the least amount of time I can spend doing those other things is better, actually. But
Yeah.
that is a change that's come just over, constantly and changing. We're changing person. So that's a new perspective for me.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's almost like good and bad when you're now got other people to either report to. I don't know if that's the right term, but yes, they've got other hands in the cookie jar. But being a business owner, as you well know, sometimes it's tough when you feel as though you're on an island and you have
Mhm.
some challenge coming to you, whether it's an HR problem or something you've never experienced that before. So trying to figure out how to handle that, but now you have, as you say, almost like a team of experts that
That's right. That's right.
help you and give you advice on how to handle that situation. So that's
Yeah.
probably a nice feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Most of my business, I just ran it based on, a few principles that I just have around really kind of, more conservative sort of principles, and with not a lot of regard to the law. I mean,
Right.
I didn't know the law. I didn't study the law. It was just, I felt kind of like if I was acting with common sense and a pure heart and doing the right thing, and that worked well for me. It did. And I never found myself in any real trouble. But there are a lot of laws and a lot of gotchas out there that, we as owners may not know about. And it's nice, like you said, to have a team of experts to make sure that, you're doing it the right way, and they're they taking care of the people. I don't want to. I don't want this to sound like people shouldn't sell their business and people shouldn't consider staying on. I mean, I believe the future of M&A is buying companies with owners like myself who aren't ready to fully exit and are willing to stay on and hold the business together. I mean, we didn't lose a single customer, not a single employee, and you hear
That's
horror
awesome.
stories
That's great.
around companies that sell and the owner leaves, and half the work goes away. So it's been, we've been able to maintain the culture. We've been able to, we have a lot of local autonomy. It's a great organization, and it's been a wonderful experience, but not without mostly emotional struggles.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know we're finishing up here, but one of the things we did talk about was, is there a place for some type of a, peer group for past owners that, can talk through some of those challenges, the emotional piece, to maybe even talk about future opportunities or investments and stuff like that. I mean, I think that would be a interesting discussion. So yeah, but I mean, if anybody listening is interested in that, then feel free to reach out to myself or Brandt to explore that more. But what's your thoughts around that? I mean, I say you were part of a peer group for a few years.
Yeah, yeah, I was a part of your peer group, and I asked a guy. I think I told Joe this, but I asked one of your other peer group members who had sold his business, and I looked up to him and I said, hey, what? Give me a couple pieces of advice. Yeah, I just need like, give me two pieces of advice. And he said, number one was be intentional about everything you do. Right? If you're building a business, if you're going to sell your business, then everything you do needs to be with that intention. Right? If you're going to keep it and you're going to build a cash flow vehicle, then you need to be intentional about the way you do business there as well. And then the second thing he said was join a peer group. So, and he specifically, pointed to your group. So I joined the group. I was in there for a couple years. I mean, it was awesome. Just meeting the landscapers, people like you and my peer. These are my people. It's the people that I feel most comfortable around. It's the people that I can act more myself with. And it was a great experience. I learned a lot. I made some great friends. Unfortunately, because of the financial visibility, I had to exit the peer group when I
Right.
sold. But I want something. There's something there that I need, that I want, and I think that if you got a group of past owners, it's we're similar people, the same mindset, similar tax brackets, and if for no other reason, like let's just meet 6 or 8 or 10 people and create a relationship, and involve our wives, and who knows, maybe there's some opportunities in the future there. Maybe there's some good advice around financial, what to do with your finances in the future, and I think it's a great opportunity, and I'd be the first one to sign up.
Okay, awesome, awesome. No, you're right. It's just yeah, especially our industry. It's almost like that's your tribe. Those are your people. It's such a great industry that people are willing to share stuff. It's so nice, and you just feel comfortable around them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel more comfortable in those environments than I do in my own neighborhood.
right.
Or just I do. I'm more comfortable with you guys than my next door neighbor. So it's yeah, it's I like it. I love that idea. And I know that when I was in the peer group, you guys have lost a few people to this, to selling their companies. And so this is an alternative for those guys who aren't permitted to be in the peer group any longer, but can still benefit from it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Brandt, I know we're finishing up here. How do if people want to just chat to you, want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, you can just email me at. I'll probably just give you my personal email address. Okay, so it's a C like cat, D like dog, ILL 35 at gmail.com.
Okay.
And that's my personal email address. And if anybody wants to shoot me an email and ask me some questions on offline, or get together for lunch, I'm an open book. What you see is what you get, and I'll tell it all.
Okay, awesome. Brant, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you today. Thank you for your time. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing the challenges, with that transition. But I'm glad, you're still doing well, and look forward to seeing you in Denver.
Yeah, thanks, Robert. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Okay, thank you. Cheers. Bye-bye. Hopefully that was pure dead brilliant for you today, and you got some great Ironman mindset takeaways for your business or your leadership role. This is Robert Clickybeard. Love to get you, your friends, your employees to join us in our future journey. So please subscribe to your various podcast channels. Visit our website, commerciallandscaper.com or wilson-360.com. You could check out our digital courses. You could check out peer groups, coaching, my book, Ironman Mindset for Entrepreneurs. And we just want you to have a pure, dead, brilliant day. And finally, my thanks again to Boss Business Management Software, which is the ultimate cloud-based solution providing comprehensive insights and tools to optimize performance. Join the Boss community today and transform your business so you too can say, my boss is working for me. Cheers, everyone.